Alright guys, today we're dishing out videos. This video would not be made possible without my Patreon members. And special thanks to all of my Patreon members and my future Patreon members. Thank you for your support. Without your support, these videos would not be made possible. So today we're going to talk about ticker symbol SAVA. I know, I promised a video for a long time ago, and I made an hour-long video basically the term sheet and revenue breakdown and market breakdown and all those kind of stuff on SAVA. And then later I realized that nobody will go and watch that kind of video because it's way too long. Therefore, this is just a very short rundown of that, considered most of you guys just want to know whether it's going to go up or go down, or my opinion on whether it's overvalued or in the value, you know, that kind of thing. So before we actually go to the finances, let's watch a video about the statistics of Alzheimer's. Alright, let's stop there. It seems like everything gets a little bit more political as things goes, huh? So let's just get out of here and just look at the SEC filing now. So for those of you who don't know, SAVA is called SAVA, which we call them SAVA. It's a Cassava Science Inc. It used to be called Pain Therapeutics. It got rebranded during the whole retail hype thingy. And for those of you who just want to see what the stock price is right now, we can pull up the Weibo, our trusted Weibo, and I think it's traded at around $40-ish. And it had a huge volatile movement over the past year. It went from, I'm pretty sure it went from like $10 to $80, something like that. Let me show you guys. And, you know, people are asking, you know, I was, you know, midway I shorted this stock when it's at $100. I think it's really, or it's just hugely overvalued at $100. I also did a snap short on the day when it reaches $52. And as you can see, like this stock, it doesn't really, it's like, you see this? It has a long history of being pain therapeutics. But because the credibility of this company from before, you know, you always have like those hypes. You see, always have to have these hypes, and then later on just got beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. Hopefully it doesn't repeat that cycle, because I think two of my Patreon members actually really like their stock. So for those of you who just watched that little clip about Alzheimer's, or dementia. In this case, they actually only, I think they're only doing treatment for Alzheimer's instead of dementia. For those of you who don't know, Alzheimer's or dementia are actually two very different disease. It's really hard to explain it like using very simple words. All you have to know is they are two different markets, or like in terms of treatment wise, you cannot really mistake them. So let's just say it says let's just take the statistic at its face value, right? We all know, right? First of all, let's calculate the market size of this entire market. So there are 383 million people in the United States, right? Like a lot of you are like, oh my god, we don't, as you can see by the end of that video, they're talking about, you know, dementia and the disease can do this is discriminatory because, you know, a treatment for white people isn't you know, really effective for black people and might not be effective for Asian people, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's just say that's true. Okay, so we discounted that. So let's just say let's do a very simple calculation here. Let's just say 383 million people here. That let's just say 50% are white people. So let's just say 50% of that are white people. So we have 192 million US white people. And then in the white people, right, because, disease statistics is not discriminatory, like the percentage of disease distribution. And usually, right, those dementia or Alzheimer's usually will capture about 10% of the population, which makes sense, right? For those of you who study statistics or long tail or Nova curves, you will know that it's actually makes sense that 10% of us will get dementia or Alzheimer's. So let's just time that by 0.1. So your true targeted, let's just say 20 million. Your true targeted white people audience, right? White people treatment audience is about 20 million, okay? And you guys should ignore it's gonna be a 1.1 trillion cost, whatever thing, because eventually, because there are at least 5 companies in the entire Nasdaq exchange that's doing research on Alzheimer's. We are assuming that one of them is gonna be successful, and then because one is successful, the other one probably will find another way of doing it, or will find a less effective way, but still is a treatment, but will be cheaper. Therefore, it will dilute the entire cost structure of Alzheimer's treatment. So as far as right now, one of my deceased grandpa actually got Alzheimer's. So this is a cause that I really care about. Therefore, I actually do a lot of research on Alzheimer's treatments. From my research, we're not there yet. I don't think we're gonna be there in the next 5 years. Hopefully, we will. It's just it's a little bit of pessimistic me talking, right? And then before my grandpa passed away, I peaked of the medical bill. That's actually a couple of years ago, okay? And then that's around 15K to about 20K annually on treatment. And my parents are kind of smart, so they bought a insurance that will cover most of the costs way before, because my grandpa uses brain too much, so they think that when all these Asian parents and Asian people, they think if you use your brain too much, you will get Alzheimer's eventually later on in your life. So that's what it is. And if we go search online, we can probably figure out how much does it cost. Cost to treat Alzheimer's. And on here it says it's 27K per patient annually, and the cost range from 10K to 34K. So we're just gonna taking the mean here a little bit, okay? In our video, I went on and keep talking about the market potential of all of it, and I keep talking about what are some, I layer the different Alzheimer treatment market, and I layered on if they have a distribution channel. Basically, it just means, so for those of you who worked in biotech or who used to invest in biotech, or those of you who never ever touch a biotech stock or never invested in any biotech company, the average span of research and development is spanned from 7 years to 10 years. So for early investor in a biotech company, they usually don't look for a very short-term return because it's literally impossible. The average lifespan of developing, especially we're talking about potential cancer treatment, potential Alzheimer treatment, all these really hard to cure sort of peculiar disease, it goes longer. Sometimes maybe 20 years it won't have any return of investment. But once they have the treatment ready, then you will have a very sharp exponential growth of treatment revenue coming in, and then later on the treatment revenue will probably dip down a little bit, and after it dips down a little bit, it sort of plateau out, and then it will probably plateau out on a per patient basis. It will be lower, right? Because think about it, you're essentially trading not quality, trading higher per unit cost for more quantity. Because think about it, right? Not all 11 million or 20 million white people that have Alzheimer's, or potentially more than that, because a lot of people's Alzheimer's doesn't get diagnosed and all that kind of stuff. And because it's cheaper, people are more likely to go to the pharmacy or go to a hospital to get it treated. It's like if you have, if you have something wrong, for example, you have a headache, you will just go to the CVS, pop some ibuprofen, and just be done with it. But imagine if ibuprofen is $100, would you go and get it? Probably not, right? So eventually those costs will lower. So when we are doing the cost analysis of how many revenue it can potentially go in, come into this company, assuming this company will consume 100% of the market, which is impossible. Therefore, later on we're gonna put a discount on that. So let's just say 20 million white people got Alzheimer's, and then we time that by 15K annual treatment, right? So that will give you what? 300 million annual treatment revenue, right? That looks pretty good. Actually, that actually looks pretty good if it comes in every single year. But in reality, that 300 million is not gonna be, 300 million in reality, because for drug companies most likely would get a monopoly, but in this market I don't think it will happen like a monopoly, but it will happen like the vaccine market, where Pfizer takes 65% to 75% of the market share in total, and then Moderna, the other, will share the others. Let's just say SAVA is gonna be the market leader in this. So let's just say 300 million times about 60%, then it will get 180 million annual revenue here. Okay. So if we use the annual revenue model and let's just assume that it's gonna grow by, I don't know, 10%. Actually, we're not gonna do discounted cash flow here or discounted revenue. We're just gonna do a simple multiplier calculation on how much this company is gonna worth. Let's just say biotech stocks is gonna trade 6x the annual revenue, because it's gonna grow, and we're just giving it a higher valuation, as it probably should not be, but to be very optimistic. So you will do this times 10. Because it's not really like one of my finance project or anything, a lot of you probably don't care about valuations at all. Therefore, I'm just going to give you a very bold mark of all the valuation. And for those know me in real life, I mean, this is kind of like real life, but if you know me, like the real me or whatever, you know that my valuations are very renowned in certain areas, and I could get them to the pennies. But in this video, we're just not going to get into that, because it actually doesn't have anything to do with the stock prices right now, because right now it doesn't make any revenue. So you will have 1.8 billion valuation. Okay, so if we go online and look at SAVA's market cap, if it's over 1.8 billion, that means it's traded at basically its full potential. Okay, so right now it's almost traded at its full potential. So what is that supposed to mean for those of you who are short-term investors, especially who cares about the rate hike, the Federal Reserve rate hike, and care about, what am I supposed to do as an investor to trim my portfolios? One of the things that people will do during those uncertainty times or high volatility timelines, what would they do is they would trim high-risk assets. So high-risk assets includes biotech stock that they don't think phase 3 is going to be there soon, meme stocks, right? And then they will go for like high debt stocks, and they will go for equity exhaustion stocks, okay? I'll explain the other ones later on in my other educational videos, because I plan to post a lot of them in the next few weeks when I don't really have a lot of work to do for school. Hopefully I don't, which I probably will do. And my work is kind of demanding right now. So I will just keep this video short. So most likely what's going to happen to SAVA is actually going to break down the $34, the lowest point line, and it will just trying to reach 23 again. Honestly, it will probably be 50% lower. The price will be 57% lower in the next couple of months, or maybe just the next year. Let's just say a sort of like a bull market estimate. I do think this is not really going to go anywhere. Okay, I don't think this is going to go anywhere as of right now, because they don't really have very promising clinical trials coming out, and then the revenue model is already there, and we were already valued at $1.6 billion. And for those of you who want some fundamental evidence, you can go and look at how they spend their money. So if you look at, so first of all, I think all of these executives are paying way too much to their chairman of the board and the CEO, okay? The CEO is getting $1.1 million as a base salary and $750K as bonus, okay? And if you look at how much money they raised over the past year, they do deserve a bonus because they did really well with, a lot of those Reddit hypes and everything. But you guys well know, after March 2022, the Reddit era is gonna be ending, especially if there's no stimulus bill coming in, and Americans are gonna run out of cash. And therefore, I just think this is scamming shareholders off by just giving them so much money when they haven't done anything really. If you go look at SAVA's past performance as pain therapeutics, you'll realize that they actually literally didn't do anything. They said they were gonna do something, they didn't do it, and then, as one of my mentors used to say, once a froster, always a froster. I don't believe that. I think people can change. But what I think is once a management have a specific way of managing the company will never change unless someone with a changing mindset coming in. Therefore, I think, on that front, it's not really looking so well on SAVA either. And also, there's another thing you have to understand on SAVA is, if you look at how they spend their money, they spent $22 million in their corporate office. If you look at, they actually acquired real estate or office real estate in an all-cash purchase. And then in that all-cash purchase, they spent $22 million in buying land and buying offices in Austin, Texas as their future headquarters. I mean, of course you can write it off on taxes, but I think it's a horrible way of spending their money when they have money on hand. And another thing you gotta look at is if you look at their spending cycle and you look at how they're doing their stock issuance or hyping up their stocks and a lot of the things that they post on Reddit. I don't know if they got paid. They pay people to post on Reddit or anything, but if you look at the balance sheet, it doesn't look that well, okay? We have significant losses and accumulative significant losses with sort of like a year by year, they lose more and more, okay? And then there's no, it doesn't seem to have any changes, doesn't seem like they have any inclinations to sort of reach out to someone else except for their wait, where is the NIH statement here? So basically, SAVA was originally funded by NIH, which is National Institution of Health, and the National Institution of Health usually give them about $1 to $2 million every single year as research funding and R&D development and everything, and they don't really get any other national grants or whatever. And remind you, National Institute of Health is actually a private institution or private entity. It doesn't really have the government title to it. I mean, of course, they give out a huge amount of grants to other people. But remember, NIH was also one of those not really companies, institutes that tells you that I remember back in the days when there's a shortage on beef or whatever, and they're saying chicken have the same amount of protein or whatever. I don't remember how it goes, but they're like a very promotional centered institute. And again, we're not financial advisors. We do not give financial advices. Everything we see on our channel is for shits and giggles. And I'm sorry, NIH, if any of you are watching, I don't remember what exactly did you say, but it's sort of on that ballpark where it's more of like a promotional thing that inducing all of the consumers to consume something more without like a very high level or proper p-value study on the statistics or on the nutritious value of certain food and anything. But we still love you, okay? You give out grants, you help fund a lot of companies. But if you dig deeper, we will realize that NIH funded companies, the success rate is not that great, okay? It's probably like 10%. But again, they invest in so many things, they don't really care about if as long as there's one that's 100x or 1000x return, they will be fine, okay? But if you look at the cumulative loss, net loss is piling up. You see, net loss is piling up. And if you guys really think the market is going to crash or correct for more than about 10% from its high, I do think it will at least correct about 22%, to be honest. And therefore, this is considered a high-risk asset. Therefore, it's probably not a good idea to hold it to the end, wink, wink. But again, we are not financial advisors. We do not get financial advices. Okay, and this is it for this video. Hopefully it's not that gone, and I'll slap a thumbnail real quick. I know all these high quality videos nobody watches. This is just a warning. that SAVA might not be, it could be a little bit overvalued considering it doesn't have any revenue, and a lot of it is just hype. All right, see you guys on the upside. And of course, if you like this video, smash the like button and subscribe. If you have any questions, comment down below or join our Discord. And again, our Discord is not really foolproof yet. It's sort of like we have a mechanics where you have to go and read the terms and services and click the agree button or thumbs up button to weed out all these people who actually don't read or kind of bring that. So yeah, go do that, okay? And a lot of smart people are in Discord. Go chat with them. We are in a very hot trade. DD were provided by Bronco. And in the next few videos, I'm going to make a video about his DD, and I'm going to credit him down below. Later on in that video, I'm going to also tag him on his Twitter, and his Twitter is going to be linked down below when I make those videos. And again, I take other people's intellectual property very seriously. If someone is at first, I will quote them, and I will promote their content because I think they did a really good job on their DD. All right, see you guys on the upside.